I'm drinking fruity drinks, so take it with a grain of salt. It's all Lamar's fault.
Oh, yeah. What up there? Guess answers by guess. Lamar's fault. Why do you say? Why do you say there, friend?
Well, before the half, he threw it to Deontay finally on one of his 5 snaps that they ended up playing. He was trying to get out of bounds, but the block wasn't set. He got mad at him. But then early in the second half, threw it to McGinn. He slipped. He got mad at him. He never saw the field again.
Yeah, weird, man. Same thing with Khalil Herbert. Dropped the ball, never saw the field again.
That was a rough prop loss.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. But we are in week 10 now. Holy moly. The season, like you said, is in the third part now of the season. Remember, guys, we are the Inside Scoop from Outside the Box. Like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X, Patreon, and Spotify. Always look for those hashtags, answers by GFF. I'm excited. And the reason I'm excited in this third part of the season is I feel like I know what my team looks like and wants to do based on the players that I have. Right now, we have a long trade deadline for us. We have that out as far as possible, so it ends next week. I've been looking at trades in our major league, just trying to figure out, do I need to make a move to be able to get over the hump, or do I like the team that I have and just keep on using the waiver wire? And I feel like this is the time of the year that you really should be solidifying that running back core. I know you mentioned it. I mean, the 5 guys for your eyes were all running backs. It is time to take over. I think if you're ready to go, I mean, this is what you need to do is just really look at that roster. If you have a trade deadline that hasn't passed, see if you need to fill in gaps. I mean, you have to make that move.
Look at all the running backs. They're all healthy except for Brian Robinson right now.
Yeah.
How long will this last? You got to stock up on these backups. That's why I had him all as 5 guys. This is the time.
It's so true. It's so like the bottom half of all my rosters are just running backs, and it's just like, okay, which one's going to stick? Which one can I get rid of to get the next one? So I'm excited, man. I think this is the best part of the season. This is where the separation starts for a playoff run compared to hopefully not in a loser's bracket, but we'll see where we go from here. All right, guys, bye weeks this week. Cleveland Browns, Green Bay Packers, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Seattle Seahawks. Make sure to get them out of your lineups. If you have players from those teams in your lineups. All right. First game on my list here, New York Giants at the Carolina Panthers. This one is in Munich, Germany. Danny Dimes didn't look horrible. He's one of the major pickups this week that I'm seeing all over the place. Threw a couple touchdowns, run a couple touchdowns, pretty much had the team on his back. Can we see him doing good? My man Theo Johnson finally got his touchdown, had some receptions. Do we see that continuing against the Carolina Panthers team that they won last week? Again, it was against the Saints that I just can't figure them out. Obviously, Saints is a whole different story, but it's like, can we trust the players? Chuba Hubbard gets an extension this week, and Brooks is supposed to be coming back. Like, what's that now? Like, how does we move forward with the players that are on these rosters?
Well, they actually said with Brooks that he's questionable. So they activated him because they had to, because the window was up.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll probably be active for the game. How much he'll play, we're not sure. But Chuba got that extension, so they obviously like Chuba for the long haul. And why not? Running back 3 since week 3, top 5. And for this game, Daniel Jones, I'm starting him over Tua in one league. I like Neighbors to get a ton in this game. The question then becomes, how well will the Panthers be able to do on offense to keep Daniel Jones throwing the ball? You mentioned Theo. Is he hurt again?
I think he's banged up. If I'm not mistaken.
You got to play Tracy. Go ahead with Neighbors. No Slayton. So Wandale will probably be fine as well. And for the Panthers, Leggett, Chuba. I think Jatavian Sanders banged up again.
Theo Johnson is good to go.
Okay, good. So that's about it. But early morning games should be some offense. We'll see. Can they protect Bryce Young enough to not get sacked by this team that got no sacks last week against the Washington offensive line? Panthers offensive line is nowhere near the same. So we'll see how this goes. But I'm fine with Leggett. I'm fine with Chuba. Obviously, I think that's pretty much all you could do. I mean, Coker, if you have to.
Yeah, he's a fill-in, I guess. Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one here. New England Patriots at the Chicago Bears. Chance of rain, but wind gusts supposedly over 15 miles per hour. That's always a big thing as far as the passing of the ball in the offense. From a New England standpoint, I mean, Drake May has good legs. I mean, is he a start against the Chicago Bears that you had mentioned, the despise? It's kind of just been a downhill. They look so great, and then all of a sudden it just can't stop anybody. Who are we playing from New England? And then from the Chicago side, again, with these wins, Odunze was really good, but it seems like it's a receiver a different week. It's like, who do you choose? Almost like the Tampa Bay situation that you used to call all the time. Can you start calling some of these Bears for us?
Yeah, well, Odunze, his chemistry with Caleb is on the rise.
It sure is.
And you saw what I was thinking was going on with DJ Moore walking up the field in the middle of the play. So he might get sort of shut out in this one. So I really like Odunze in this one. Actually, I think I'm on the prop. I want to say it's 3.5, possibly 4.5. But I like it. And Swift will be just fine for the Patriots. It's Henry, it's Pop Douglas, and Stevenson. Can't really do too much. The Bears, this is do or die because they've looked terrible out of the break. If you had to play Odunze or Swift, that's about all I would trust in this one. And then there's always the chance of goal line Roshan. But you're not playing him. Not this week. Not yet. You can't trust DJ Moore.
Yeah, you can't. And you know, it's funny. I have him in one of my lineups, and I'm just like, do I play Pearsall over him? I that's the only really legitimate player that I can use, but I'm so worried about it.
We haven't gotten to that game, but the answer is yes, you should. I like Pearsall this week, and Christian Gonzalez is going to be on DJ Moore whenever he decides to walk around. So, and you can't play Keenan Allen. He's a statue.
It just, yeah, man.
Matt, I mean, are people still using him?
It's just this team, man. It's just, it had such high hopes. It looked like it could be that Caleb. I mean, we saw a week that he was blowing up, and then all of a sudden it's just been so downhill.
This game's actually one of the most interesting to me because Chicago at home, after the 2 weeks they've had after the bye, if you're going to turn it around, you got to do it here.
100% right, man. 100% right. All right, let's go on to the next one here. Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know, man. Josh Allen I like a lot lately. And I know that's horrible for me to say. I'm a Jets fan. I'm not supposed to say that out loud. But in tough spots, the kid shows up, man. I feel like he plays just constantly at that level, no matter who's on getting the ball and what players are getting, you know, whatever they're getting. It's like he just seems to be on all the time. I hate it, to be honest, being a Jets fan. I'm not supposed to like him, but I do. Who's he throwing to? And then are we comfortable with the run game? Seemed like Cook didn't have the greatest of games last week. And then from a Colts perspective, Flacco is just beaten up. I think you even mentioned it on the Tuesday show. It's if he can get some type of protection, maybe he can get the ball out, but it was down games for everybody. What are you thinking there?
Well, the one thing you have, Minnesota likes to blitz and rush the quarterback. That's their defense. They've been doing it all year. Buffalo, from what I've seen, doesn't do it as much. And the Colts have to make some sort of adjustment because he was a statue. They brought the house, it landed on top of him. He became lawn decorations,
Sure
like I
did.
showed in
Yeah, I love it.
halftime adjustments. So, Jonathan Taylor's going to have to get going. No Pittman, so it's pretty much downs. I would imagine AD Mitchell's going to have to be playing a lot. Could it be his coming out party? I have a feeling they're going to be playing catch up because, like you said, Josh Allen's on fire. You take away his top 2 games, he's still averaging like 20 plus points a fantasy game. So he's the QB1. I'd say, I don't know, by far. He's the most consistent every single week. And who's he throwing to? I like Kincaid in this one. He's been kind of quiet, but I like him going over the middle against the Colts. I know Cooper will play. Shakir's been doing his thing, but I like Kincaid. So if you're holding on to him, and I don't know who else you'd have. See, a lot of people fell for the Gesicki thing. Like I said in halftime adjustments. I mean, you know how much I love him, but you missed it. You missed it. And they're gonna he threw to Tanner Hudson, got a touchdown. I mean, that game was just ridiculous. I mean, Tylan Wallace with his touchdown, Aguilar with his touchdown, and they bastardize Deontay and don't even get him on the field. It was just ridiculous. But they didn't need Gesicki because Chase Brown and Jamar Chase, the Chase boys, were doing their thing. But as far as this game goes, I like Kincaid. So if you didn't play Gesicki, he's somebody you might have had with Kincaid. I'm not really sure who else you might have at this point. Maybe Cade Otton. It would be tough to sit Otton as hot as he's been. I don't know if I do that. But Kincaid, I'm playing over most other marginal tight ends. I like him in this one. He's been quiet.
All right. Going on to the next one here. Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. I think like Courtland Sutton's the only answer I feel like for the Broncos. I mean, the running game situation, if you want to take a chance, talk about that as far as who's going to be getting the ball nowadays. And then from the flip side, we finally saw a Mahomes game. He actually played up to a Mahomes level as the refs tend to help them a lot. So will they help in this situation being home here too? But Kelsey finally had a decent game. The run situation is Hunt. I mean, are we comfortable starting all of our Kansas City Chiefs against a Broncos defense that didn't show up that last week, but has actually played okay?
Did we put the wrong Facebook one on this StreamYard?
You know, it's funny. I was going to say that. I think there's something wrong with StreamYard, to be honest with you. You don't have the option anymore to put directly to the group. They took away that option. So I think it's something with actually StreamYard. I actually have our live thing open. Tim asked the first question. Marty asked the second two. So I'll get to them, and I'll have to do it that way, unfortunately.
Well, if you're the Chiefs, who are you taking out of the game? Courtland Sutton.
Yep, pretty much.
It worries me. In one league, 2 leagues, I have him. I got nobody else. I'm playing him. Got no choice. But you're taking him out, and I would think that they'd be able to do it. As far as the running back goes, Javonte has not been efficient. He caught a pass last week that gave him 30 yards. Aside from that, didn't do too much. And there's talk that Audric Estime, one of the 5 guys for your eyes this week, is going to get more work. So I would not be surprised. Sean Payton's tricky, though. He'll say these things and he'll play 2 snaps. So you're not playing him this week. But if he's out there in waiver wires, do what I did in just about every league you can, pick him up. Because if he comes into this game and flashes even just a little, you've got yourself the starting running back, I think, for the rest of the season with the Broncos, because it's clear that Peyton is not happy with what Javonte's doing. Early on, he tried to make it McLaughlin. That sort of went away when he got a little banged up, and he realized he's just not the guy that can run up the middle and stuff like that. So Estime might be that guy. He's somebody I'm picking up. You know, if he comes in this game and has a little bit of success, they have a week 14 bye. So you've got 11, 12, and 13 starting running back that you could probably use RB2 or flex. Aside from that, I mean, Franklin went to college with Bo Nix. and yet he only connects one time a game with them. I don't understand it. They use Cortland Sutton, every once in a while, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and it's Bo Nix running around and mixing into the running backs. But Sutton, I'm not sure. I hope, but if I'm Kansas City, that's what I'm taking out. You got to play Hopkins. You saw what he did last week. I know the Broncos are tough on defense, but look at what Baltimore did last week with Zay Flowers. They can't do the same thing. Zay Flowers is like he's like one of those little fleas bouncing all over the place so quick. Hopkins isn't going to do that, but they'll use Kelsey. They'll use Hopkins. Kareem Hunt will continue to get his minuscule 3 yards of carry and punch it in when they get close. So you got to play all three of those guys. That's about it. Will they pop one maybe with Worthy? They tried last week. I wouldn't doubt it. If you're in dire straits, this is a good game to throw them in.
Yeah, man. When I was looking at Hopkins, the way they used him in the red zone, I thought was pretty interesting. Him and Kelsey kind of on opposite sides. I would like to see them both on the same side and see what they can do, because then that creates the mismatches, or even have them crossing. I think that actually creates even more opportunity for them, which is crazy to say, being undefeated. So, all right, going on to the next one here. Atlanta Falcons at the New Orleans Saints. Falcons, pretty much everybody had a touchdown besides Bijan and Pitts. Kirk Cousins continues to keep on playing well. This New Orleans Saints defense lost to Carolina last week. They're not good. Is it all systems go for every Atlanta Falcon? And then on the flip side, Olave's out. Are we just comfortable starting Taysom Hill and Kamara nowadays? Shaheed was supposed to come back this week. It doesn't look like he's coming back this week.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody else really worth putting out there?
No, they have Tipton, who hasn't done much of anything. He's got decent pedigree and skills. In Marquez Valdez Scantling. That's about it that they have, because Cedric Wilson's also out. Olave's out. It's going to be Taysom Hill, ton of Kamara. Kamara over, I think it was 4.5 receptions. It's like minus 150, but he should have that in the first half. I mean, who else do they have to throw to? So, and he's been getting like 7, 8 plus a game, double-digit targets.
Yeah.
So we don't need to tell you about that. As far as the Falcons go, it's which Falcon is going to get it, because I like them all. But last week, I think someone who might get started this week because of injuries or buys is Ray McLeod. And he really did his damage when London got hurt. London got the first touchdown. He was out. Ray came in, scored a bunch of points. Mooney should kill it in this game. Pitts out last week?
No, he played. Pretty sure of it.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like he was out.
Yeah, he didn't do much. And I like Bijan as well, because I think they'll build lead and be able to use them. And you know what? If you have to, which you probably don't, because there's not a lot of injuries, Algier. I could see Algier doing some good things in this game, to be honest. So if you're dying for whatever reason at running back, maybe you have Kenneth Walker and Josh Jacobs. Algier is somebody I really like this week, because I think Atlanta is going to pass for a little while and have success, build the lead, and use both running backs. And I could see Algier stealing one from Bijan, especially late.
I'm going to do the tight end whisperer. Juwan Johnson might be somebody to pay attention to in this game, just because of the target perspective. Yeah, they need somebody that can actually catch the ball. We have seen volume go his way. Another sneaky one, another tight end is Foster Monroe. So, again, somebody just, even if you're dire straits, like he's saying, just to get somebody in there, guys to look at. I would probably go Johnson, though, over Monroe. All right, San Francisco 49ers at the Tampa Bay Bucks. 49ers coming off the bye week. CMC, the big news, obviously. How much is he going to be used? Who's the backup? I think that's the biggest question that everyone keeps on asking. And then from a wide receiver standpoint, tell me who we think we should be starting. And then on the flip side of things, Tampa actually had played a good game. Baker, doesn't matter who he's throwing to. Baker's being Baker, man. He's really trying to put this team on his back and take them to different levels. K-Dot, and like you had mentioned earlier, is the man, it seems like. Anybody else, are we comfortable starting from the running back perspective and then from a wide receiver perspective?
I think if I'm the Niners and I'm playing CMC, I think I'm making Garendo the backup and just letting Mason continue to rest. Because if anything happens to CMC, you want Mason healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So Mason is somebody I'm absolutely not going to play this week. You have to pass on the Bucs anyways. You had mentioned earlier, and I said when we get to the game, I really like Ricky Pearsall,
Yep.
Debo as well, and Kittle. I like them all. I think Brock Purdy's going to have great success. The Bucs secondary is terrible. Their best player got hurt last Monday night. They're going to have a lot of trouble. Brock Purdy's in great position if you're looking at him, and I don't know. If you have him and another quarterback and you're watching this, let me know what else it is. But I would go with Purdy because I think that they're going to be throwing all over. You got CMC to catch passes. As far as the Bucs go, are you still playing Sterling Shepard? I mean, that's about all you can do. I like that Raheem Jarrett rookie. He looks pretty good out there, but they don't use him enough. Maybe they use him more this week.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. He's separated from some of these defenders. It was maybe one or two plays that I guess he was targeted on. I know he had one catch, but he just the way he kind of just swung into the inside, I was like, oh man, that guy's fast.
And the problem with the Bucs, they're three-headed monsters, really a two-headed monster, but still, they mix in Tucker just enough to give Bucky and or White one less drive, 5 to 6 to 10 less snaps, and that hurts them. And when you're playing catch up, you want a pass catching guy in there. It's mostly White, but Bucky will catch passes too. But they're both tough plays this week. The Niners defense getting a little healthier coming out of the bye, and just the fact that Tucker will come in every once in a while, it just sours me a little on Bucky. Mostly because I don't own Rachaad White anywhere.
Yeah, I like this Bucs team. I want Cade Otton to keep on going. I think San Francisco is going to come out of the bye week on a tear, be like, listen, now we got to prove a point. We've lost a couple games that we shouldn't have lost. I just feel like Tampa might get beat up. The only thing that's going Tampa's way, they're home. Home is, I think, a big thing, and then San Francisco traveling from the West Coast. So. And
I was going to say, if you're San Francisco, much like I said with Kansas City and Cortland Sutton, who are you going to focus on? You're going to focus on Cade Otton. But the thing is, Cade Otton has been making some of the most difficult catches I've ever seen in my life week after week. Two guys on him getting smashed in the back. Doesn't matter. He's coming down with it, which has been amazing.
I like it, man. I'm liking what I'm seeing as well. All right. Next one here. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Washington Commanders. Steelers coming off the bye week. Tell me what you're thinking as far as what this offense is going to look like. Russell Wilson's been playing pretty good, man. Who is he throwing the ball to? And then as far as the running back situation, all three now healthy. I know Warren, obviously Najee, but Patterson, I feel, is going to play some type of role. They liked using him. Will he line up more like a wide receiver? Big news, obviously, Mike Williams going over there. How does he fit in? And then on the flip side, Jalen Daniels is just amazing, bro. Like he's really, really good. And McLaurin had 2 touchdowns on 2 catches.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brian Robinson Jr., you mentioned, is out already. Rodriguez Jr. looked okay, man. He actually played better than Eckler. I think they had the same amount of snaps or touches or something like that. I'm sorry, rushing attempts. There it is. They had the same amount of rushing attempts. That's pretty big, man. Are we okay with starting a Rodriguez?
The one key in this game is going to be Justin Fields is healthy. Now, that could mean that if Washington has offensive success against the Steelers, they might wrinkle in Fields every once in a while. So if you're somebody who's been starting Russell Wilson, who's been better for this team, there might be a play or two where Fields is in and they get their touchdown and you don't get it with Russell Wilson. I'd be a little bit worried about that because I could see them, whatever the play is, I don't know, when they're close even maybe, getting Fields in there, knowing Fields could throw it if he had to, or he could scramble and run it in for a touchdown. The Commanders, as I talked about on halftime adjustments, I don't know why teams do it. They try and run, they try and run, they try and run, and finally they start passing against them and they have success. The Steelers come out throwing the ball, they might be able to run all over this team. This is going to be a great game, both 6-2. Well, yeah, well, Commanders 7-2, right?
7-2.
Seven,
We haven't had their bye
7-2.
week yet.
Yes, week 14, I think, right?
Yeah.
So Steelers 6-2. It's going to be a great game. There's no Lattimore's not going to play in this one. So Washington still is a terrible secondary. Pickens I like. I almost played. You saw it because I know you get the notifications when people make moves. I was going to play Calvin Austin. He came off the big game, but I'm a big Calvin Austin fan. I was pumping him up for 2-3 years now. He could do something, but I put in somebody else who we'll talk about when we get to the game over him. He's a fine desperation play. If anybody is going to beat the Commanders deep over the middle or up the seams, it's going to be him because they don't have the speed to hold on to him. So if you need somebody, a desperate dart throw, Calvin Austin, I like in this one. I think Freiermuth, I think Darius is asked, or Darnell Washington. Russ really likes him. So you had mentioned Cordero Patterson. Artie Smith, that's his favorite person in the world.
It is, man.
So he'll use him.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's in the receiving end and they don't try and run. That's why I like Jaylen Warren in this one a little more than Najee Harris because they're going to use Jaylen Warren in passing situations. It's tough to run on Washington. Yeah. You could play Noah Brown if you had to, Zach Ertz if you had to. Obviously, you play. It's going to be tough with Eckler, but they got to throw to him, and that's his game. But Steelers defense, best in the league. Washington offense, one of the best in the league at the very least. This one's going to be a good one. I think Pittsburgh's going to win.
Ooh, I like that. All right, let's
go on to
here
real quick. The Giants almost did what I thought was going to happen last week, and if the Giants can almost do that, I think the Steelers can do that.
I think it's going to be based on like you said, they could stop the run, but if they can get check downs and screen passes and stuff like that to their running backs, I think you're right. I think that helps the situation. That's where Rodriguez Jr. doesn't come in because he's going to be pounding it. That's where you're right. Your Ecklers and the rounds are going to end up working. So let's see what happens. All right. Minnesota at Jacksonville. Again, this sounds like it could be a windy game. I'm seeing 15+ mile per hour winds. Minnesota coming off of a good win against Indiana. Darnold with some mistakes, though. Addison back on track. Hawk played, looked okay, was running some routes. Does he get a little bit more of an improvement? Obviously, you're playing Justin Jefferson. And then talk about the run game situation. You had mentioned that Akers now is the second guy there. Are we comfortable if you need to start somebody? Can you put an Akers in against this Jacksonville team that it's tales of two halves usually? It feels like. It's like they look horrible. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, look, Jacksonville's back in the game again. The running back situation, I think I'm more concerned about Trevor Lawrence taking the touchdowns nowadays when they're getting close and the running back's not getting it. Are we okay with which one would you go with as far as the running back situation? And then talk about the pass catchers.
Well, if I'm being fairly honest, I hope Mac Jones starts and Trevor.
Oh, yes, that's right. You're right. I forgot Trevor Lawrence. It's more than likely not going to play.
I hope he does. And on the surface, right, we view Trevor Lawrence as the god, right? And Mac Jones is trash. He looked bad for a terrible team. Now he's on a team that is also relatively terrible, but even Mac Jones at his worst, I think was close to on par with how bad Trevor Lawrence has been this year. So I actually think it'll be a little bit of an upgrade with Mac Jones. One player that I really like in this one, which is who I took Calvin Austin out for, Parker Washington. Oh. He was on the B team, the second team. Who else was? Mac Jones. who had a really good connection in the preseason? Parker Washington and Mac Jones. Granted, it's the preseason, but he likes them. He uses them. The wind is going to hurt Brian Thomas a little, but the Vikings secondary is so terrible that you can't bench him. Mac Jones could throw a deep ball if he has to. Minnesota gets killed between 5 and 15 yards, and that's where Parker Washington operates. So it's going to be him. It's going to be Ingram. As far as the running backs go, the top two are healthy. Dearness is not. So that's kind of a good thing there. And as far as Minnesota, I like Hockenson in his second game. I like Addison and his prop over 37.5 yards. And of course, Justin Jefferson, like you said, if you're absolutely dead at running back and this game gets out of hand, Cam Akers will come through for you. But I think this game's going to be a little closer than most people think.
The Vikings are, I mean, their defense looked okay last week, but they make some mistakes. And I'm just looking at them like you can't, if they're this good of a team, you can't make mistakes. I mean, they did stop, obviously, Flacco and stuff like that. But again, there's certain times that I'm looking at the team, I'm like, man, they're dominant. And then I'm like, once Darnold makes an error, I feel like the team starts to dip, So, but again, that's just watching the game. So
here's the difference between Joe Flacco, the statue, and Mac Jones, the statue. Mac Jones gets the ball out quick. He has one of the quickest releases in the league. I'd put him in the top 10 to 15. Joe Flacco holds it and waits and looks to launch. So I think that'll go in Jacksonville's favor. And I think that early on, I'm going to say it. I'll put it out there. Maybe we'll make a short out of it. I think early on, Jacksonville jumps up to a lead. You had talked about they are getting blown out. They come back second half. I'm going to say early on, Jacksonville's winning, probably even wins the first half.
All right. Let's see it. All right. Next one here. Tennessee Titans at the Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, Charges.
It's how you pronounce it.
It's the Chargers. From a Tennessee perspective, Pollard healthy. I know Tajay Spears was the number one on your 5 guys for your eyes. Talk about that running back situation. Calvin really didn't come on until late in the game when they went into overtime and stuff like that, but was still a decent play. Tyler Boyd healthy. Levis seems like he is going to be the starter this week. How does that change things? Does it make it worse? Does it make it better? I actually thought Mason Rudolph played pretty well. On the flip side, Quentin Johnson showed up again. Holy crap, he knows how to play football again. Talk about the wide receiver situation because they all played pretty good, actually. And then Dobbins just keeps on rolling, man.
On paper, Tennessee has a good secondary. Teams continue to not really throw on them. The Chargers are a run-first team. The past few weeks, they've been throwing. I think Will Levis makes the team worse, but maybe the few weeks off, the benching, the injury, the rehab, all that, maybe that helped them. I feel like you have to play Ridley at this point. I'm not sure.
Pretty good, man.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not sure where else I'd go. I think this is going to be one of the lower scoring games of the week. And I'm not going to chase that Quentin Johnson. Couple broken play touchdowns. He used to try and catch with his hands, I've noticed, and he couldn't. And now he catches with his body. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. The coaches worked on it and found something that works. But I just feel like in this one, and who's there? I don't even know. I should know. They're tight end. The Chargers starting. It's not Disley. It's
hold on.
Yeah, I should know, but I don't care because he's not that good.
Yeah, he's not.
No, he's a blast from the past.
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, blast from the past. He'll be involved this week, for sure, and they'll play both of them. Quentin Johnson, Ladd McConkey. You're going to probably want to put Ladd in your lineup, but if the Chargers defense shuts down the Titans like I think they're going to, they're not going to have to use them much. You're going to see a lot of Dobbins. I would love for Kimani Vidal to get more than 2.7 yards of carry, but I don't think it's happening. This is a game I would stay away from if I could, but if I had Ridley, I probably am going to play him because everything that keeps flashing in my mind when I think about this game is Will Levis coming in the game and chucking it to DeAndre Hopkins like 4 times last season. So Ridley will be that guy. And if you're going to beat the Chargers, you're going to have big plays. And he's the biggest play they have. Pollard being banged up, and they want to decrease his workload. If I own Tajay Spears, I'm putting him in the lineup. It's a tough matchup, but they're going to have checkdowns, and that's his game.
Yeah, the Pollard situation is weird, man. Was literally almost out of the game last week and then had a hell of a game. But
30 carries.
Right. Yeah, I just don't. You're like, oh my God, he's so hurt. Here,
let's kill him
as much as possible. So, all right, going on to the next 4:00 game here. Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna start with the Cowboys. Are we worried about starting anybody on this team? Obviously, Dak out. CD is healthy, but was banged up last week after having to come out of the game for a little bit. What are we thinking as far as what this Cowboys team's going to look like now without Dak, and is their offense going to even be existing? On the flip side of things, Barkley had one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in football. I literally jumped out of my seat. I was like, holy effing S. I was like, holy moly. Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. But as far as Barkley, I mean, obviously he's a must start. What are we thinking about the rest of these guys? A.J. Brown banged up too.
Dare I say the Cowboys will be better offensively with Cooper Rush than Dak Prescott. You might not have like the huge blow-ups that you had with CD. I think spreads around a little more. I think he runs a little bit more. I think he becomes one of the main rushers for this team because the guys that they have are not good at all, and he'll get out of the pocket and he'll run and he'll get you a few yards. I think Turpin is a guy that I don't want to start, but he could be more involved in this game than he's been all season. I like Tolbert as well. The Eagles defense has been getting much, much better as they've been winning these past few games and just killing teams. Their entire offense is healthy. A.J. Brown, there was a worry he wouldn't be playing. He's playing. Smith, he's playing. Goddard, he's playing. Barkley, he's playing. At Dallas, they need this one. I kind of have a feeling that this is going to be a scare at the very least for the Eagles. I think Cooper Rush is going to make the offense better. Dak Prescott has looked terrible at times, and this is his moment at home against the Eagles. I think he's going to be fine. I think I'm playing Jay Ferguson, especially. He's going to be probably targeted 12 times minimum. He's going to be the outlet, the safety net. And I think that if you're a Cowboys fan, I'd feel pretty good. You might lose. You should lose. But I think that you're going to be happy with what you see. I do think so. I think Cooper Rush is going to ignite him a little bit in the ways Dak just was playing so bad. And I think that they're going to be better with Cooper Rush. I do. We'll see.
Yeah, it's rough when you have your starting star quarterback saying that you effing suck on the sideline and get caught on camera saying that. So, yeah, hopefully Cooper Rush brings a spark for him. All right, going on to the last 4:00 game here. My New York Jets at the Arizona Cardinals. Again, a tale of two halves for the Jets. Horrible in the first half, and then A-Rod all of a sudden became A-Rod again. 2 great catches by Wilson as far as touchdowns. Adams got the ball, looked okay. The running back situation, I feel like this is a game where I would like to see more Braylon Allen than Breece Hall. I know I'm crazy for saying that. Breece has been playing okay. Didn't have the greatest games, but previously has been. I feel like the Jets match up better with a bigger running back against these Cardinals defense. Their run defense isn't horrible, but they need that bulk to be able to get that push. Do you think Braylon Allen would be a good start if you're in a running back pinch this week? And then on the flip side, Kyler was one of the guys that you're hoping would turn around from the 5 guys to the Spies. He hasn't been playing great, but their run game is so good. The Jets' run defense hasn't been good at all. Kyler, I feel like, could have a really good game, not air-wise, but leg-wise. how do you feel as far as what this Cardinals run game against the Jets going to do?
Yeah, I called it after it happened with the Devontae Adams trade. I said it's going to help Garrett Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, has it ever. I mean, when you're being triple covered and you get Devontae Adams on the other side and you're single coverage and you're as good as he is, as speedy as he is, has the hands that he is, I mean, it's clear. And he's the number one wide receiver on this team. I feel bad for anybody that dumped him when Adams went there. Now, I do like Adams this week. What level? Solid enough to start, but I do think Garrett Wilson continues to do it. You like Braylon Allen more. I don't mind that thought process. However, I am a Breece Hall owner, so that does worry me just a little, especially when they get close, because we've seen Braylon Allen is punching it in at a better rate than Breece Hall. Mm-hmm. Now, the last thing you mentioned is something I started to feel this morning, that Kyler Murray, because I took him out of wherever I had him and put somebody else in. Jaden Daniels has been above him the past couple of weeks. I played Jared Goff over him in one of my other dynasty leagues. I got a feeling he's going to have a big game on the ground. I feel the same exact way. The Jets have been run all over. You're going to like Connor. We finally got to see a little Trey Benson. He's somebody that you should be picking up. He wasn't on this week's Five Guys because he was in the summer's Five Guys. Sooner or later, these running backs, they're going to 1, 2, 12 are going to get hurt. And these backups are guys that you got to be picking up. And if they do nothing, you can hold them another week and wait and see, or you could dump them and get somebody else. But it's going to happen. And he's somebody I kind of like in this game. I think they're going to start to use him more to keep Connor a little bit fresh. Now, the problem with Trey Benson is they really love DeMarcado. So if you think that if Connor goes down, Benson is the starter, I don't think so. But if Connor were to go down and you own Benson, I would trade him because I think he'll be in a close to 50-50 with DeMarcado. So you're not going to be getting complete Connor production from Trey Benson because they love DeMarcado. So he's somebody, if he goes down, I'm not wishing it on anybody, Rob. I really don't like when I do that. But if he did and you own Trey Benson, like you pick him up tonight just in case, I would trade him right away. I wouldn't hold him and wait and hope that I have the RB1 in Arizona because I think he'll be a 50-50. But Marvin Harrison's been disappointing. Once again, dropping passes. McBride, his usage is down, but he keeps producing whenever they do use him. They're both guys that you have to play. Wilson, I don't know. Like, do you really think that is Sauce playing? He's healthy. I know he got banged up last one. Yeah, but do you really think that if Sauce is on Harrison, that Wilson will be able to do any better against Reed or anything? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so. I honestly think that the passing game is not going to be the issue. I think the running game is going to be the huge issue for the Jets this week. Look what Stroud did. Stroud's not a runner. And he put up like 75 yards against them because he had to use his legs. They took away the pass game. They were able to hold the line enough, which Arizona could hold the line. They could hold the line. Look at what Connor's doing on, 18 to 20 touches a game, over 100 yards and touchdowns and stuff like that. I really think that we're both thinking that Murray's going to have big games as far as on his legs. Look what he does. He's literally 40 yards out giving peace signs, knowing that he's going to score. I can see him doing that all day against the Jets. I hope not, but unfortunately, the football fan in me compared to the Jets fan in me sees that happening. So, all right, going on to the Sunday night one here. Detroit Lions at the Houston Texans. Lions ended up beating Green Bay last week. It wasn't a great game, though, I felt like. The weather obviously played a factor into it, but Goff, Montgomery, St. Brown, I think are obvious starts, but the Gibbs one is making me nervous. I know he had the touchdown, but he's not getting used as much. And then Laporta was supposed to be one of the best, and he's just disappeared. Is there anybody else that Jameson Williams should be back this week too? Does that affect things? And then on the flip side, Houston didn't look good. Stroud is that sophomore slump you just keep on that you mentioned. He's not looking good. Nico Collins, though, does that make a difference? If he is active, and I know they activated him again, but if he actually plays, it obviously plays a huge difference. And obviously Mixon. But anybody else we should be thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, if Nico plays, that's going to make a world of difference. And them being at home, everybody's on the Lions. They're the best team in football. They've looked that way. Houston looked absolutely terrible last Thursday. They've had a few extra days to prepare and rest up for this one. This is one of those games. I don't think it's happening, but this is one of those games where when it's over, you're like, I can't believe Houston beat them. it just seems that way. And also, I'm not going to be on it because Stroud just looked so terrible last week. But I guarantee you Mechie catches 5 balls for 16 this one. I guarantee they will fix they worked on things to fix the line for sure. The difference between the Jets and the Lions is the secondary. The Lions are one of the worst. They can't stop the pass. They can get after the quarterback, but not at the level that even the Jets can. So I think that the wide receivers will have success. I just traded for them in the ABG league, but I think Mixon might be one of the ones that doesn't perform as good as he should in this game. Damian Pierce is out, so it's Agumba Wale is the only other dude there, really. But I think Mixon owners, which I'm now one of them, might be a little disappointed. And that stinks on a Sunday night game. I hope not, but the Lions are way better against the run. They use them in the pass game like Cincy did last night, like I said they should, like Chase Brown, then they'll be all right for Mixon. But we got to see it. And these teams, I talk about it all the time. Why are there not more screens to running backs? Especially if you're getting killed on the line and your quarterback's getting killed and they got no time. Put your running back, instead of keeping them back there to try and block, shoot them out. Dump them off a pass. It works. Like, I understand NFL football is not Madden, but it works. So that's your best bet for Mixon this week. For the Lions, you play the guys you said. Laporta, we want him to come alive. Jameson Williams, I'm not sure. He did something the first 2 weeks. Yeah, he was suspended and hurt a little bit, but he hasn't done much. Goff hasn't done much, but they've been killing teams the past 2 weeks. So this one is one where I'm telling you, you might go to bed Sunday night and be like, I don't know how Houston beat them. Houston looked terrible last week. Detroit looked like the world beaters. It's just how the NFL works.
It's very true, man. Very true. All right, let's go on to the last one here. Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Rams. We'll take live questions after that and then do questions from the group. Miami kept up with the Bills, man. Tua looked okay. We saw Hill. We saw a Chain. A Chain got a lot of receptions. Do we see that continuing against the Rams defense that they give up some points? They're not the greatest. Who are we feeling comfortable starting from the Dolphins side? And then from the Rams, Puka didn't show up last week, but he showed up the week prior. So it's a McVay game now. Who do we think is going to be getting the ball from the Rams? DeMarcus Robinson had 2 touchdowns last week. It's like Again, exactly. It's just like such a roller coaster. Who do you think is going to get in the ball? And then obviously Kyren is a must start. I would like to see some more Corum, to be honest with you. Give Kyren a little bit of a break against this Dolphins defense that they give up a lot of points, man.
Kyren's touchdown streak finally ended last week. I think it was at like 21 games. And Tyreek starts a new one this week. I think he gets in the end zone. I think he has a really big game. The Rams secondary could be had. And I think Miami's going to have to be throwing a ton. So you're going to see more of the same with Achane. Jonnu has continued to be involved. So it's pretty nice to see. But the Rams, you might think Detroit, but I think the Rams are the hottest team in football. They're down and they come back and they end up winning the games. And when they got everybody out there, they're really tough to beat. So with Puka and Cup and D-Rob, I said it in the ABG group. People ask questions. He's the best wide receiver 3 in football. He's better when those two are there, and we've seen that the 2 weeks that they've been there. So those 3 guys are fine. Kyron's fine. Waddle's the one guy who's become utterly worthless. And I'd like to say this will probably be the game that he does it, but I'm benching him. If anybody asks a question about Waddle, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
You know what's crazy is that I actually was thinking about trading for Waddle. I was looking at him. I'm like, I have Mike Evans, who's still out. Seems like week 12 he'll be coming back. And I'm like, am I crazy? I'm like, am I stupid for wanting to trade Waddle? Am I just thinking of the name kind of thing? Obviously, he had the touchdown. He got some points at the end of the game there. But it's like Tua being back, I feel a lot more comfortable making that trade because of the name. And I think that once Tua gets back into a groove and stuff like that, Waddle will be looked at more. But I can understand where you're coming from. It's just been so disappointing. How the hell do you start him?
Yeah. If I have a better option, I'm sitting him. But like I said, it's the way the NFL goes. The moment you're sitting him,
no, he's more.
The moment they do it. Yeah. He goes underground.
Dude, he had -4 yards and a touchdown last week.
It's ridiculous.
All right, let's go to your questions that you have here. Like I had mentioned, StreamYard's having some issues, so I do have this open here in front of me. Tim was the first one with the question. Tim Webb. Will watch show at work. Waddle, Irving, Addison, DJ Moore, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Good night, fellas. Thank you, man, for watching earlier and posting your question.
Well, I said if I had a better option, then I'm going to sit Waddle. I said I can't play DJ Moore based on what I felt the past couple of weeks. I was wrong the past couple of weeks that I thought he would snap out of it. He didn't. He just simply snapped and walked off the field in the middle of the play when it could have been a first down. I'm not playing DJ Moore. Addison, I said I like, so he's my wide receiver, and I'm going to flex Irving. I know he's in the 2-headed monster, but they're going to need him out of the backfield. I think he catches a bunch of passes in this one. So I'm going Addison and Irving.
All right. Marty with one here. How can a team like the Bears look so good going into the bye and then look terrible coming out?
That's what I talked about in halftime adjustments. I've never seen it. Usually a team is even better after a bye. It's been so bad. If they don't correct it this week at home against New England, boy, it's bad. Bad news, Bears.
Remember, guys, always like, comment, and share. We appreciate every single one of you. All right. Marty with another one here. Choose between McConkey and D-Hop.
I'm going to go D-Hop. It's just an easier matchup, even if it's just on paper. I do think Tennessee's quite simple through the air, but I think that the Chargers are just going to try and run as much as possible. And I think D-Hop showed us last week that he's in the Rice role. And Tampa Bay, or not Tampa Bay, Denver is going to struggle to contain that role because they can hit him deep. They can hit him underneath. You talked about Kelsey. Maybe they do line them up together. I'm going Hopkins. I'm riding the wave with the vet, with the old man. Stand up.
Old man, stand up. I like it. All right. Marty with another one here. I have Steelers D and picked up Eagles D to cover Steelers bye and will use Eagles again this week. For rest of season, which defense would you drop to pick up Estime or even Vidal?
This depends on your running back stable at the moment, to be honest. And if you have any other wide receivers or tight end or quarterback that you would rather drop. I like to hold 2 defenses, especially this time of the year, and just play matchups. And that's what I would do. I'd be looking at my wide receivers and getting rid of the weakest link, or if I'm holding 2 tight ends and my starter, my best one, has already had their bye, that's who I'm getting rid of over a defense. But if I had to answer your question, probably Steelers.
Yeah, I would look at schedules too. I don't know the schedules off the top of my head, to be honest with you, but schedules I feel like play into it obviously as well. The way the NFC East has been playing, They usually play them tight and stuff like that. I know they have the Cowboys this week. Makes sense to play that. But I know you're saying Cooper Rush is going to probably give them a little spark. So
I think
something
so.
to pay attention to.
And I'd pick up Estime over Vidal because Vidal is averaging like 2.7 and Estime is averaging like 7.2. So it's a mirror image.
All right. Marty helping us out here saying Lawrence may be out. I admit I forgot all about that, to be honest with you. Mac Jones, though, had the shades on, looking in the picture. Looked like he's going to be ready to roll, ready to go.
I think so.
All right. The Frogs, what's up there, bud? I need one wide receiver and one flex. MHJ, D-Hop, Ladd, Eckler, Brian Robinson is out, Bucky, and Taysom Hill.
I'm going to go D-Hop. Same thing. I mean, I understand it with MHJ, but the drops are just too much. And I think that, as Rob and I said when we were going over the game, that Arizona will have more success on the ground. And he's going to be getting shadow covered by Sauce. So I'm going D-Hop, and I know that B-Rob is out. But I'm going to go Taysom Hill. He's the second best option on the team. He can run it. He can throw it. He can catch it. Put him in the flex.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking the same exact too, man. All right. Like I mentioned, remember, always like, comment, and share. We appreciate you, ABG fam. Let's jump into questions from the group. Boomski. All right. First one here from Frank. Will Deontay make an impact the rest of the season, or is he dead weight?
Looks like dead weight. I don't think Lamar really likes him much. And, I mean, all it took was Wallace coming in and tiptoeing down the sideline. I mean, Tylan Wallace, somebody I liked when he was rookie 4 years ago, and he's just never emerged. Once he made that play, Deontay never saw the field again, and Tylan Wallace was in on just about every single play. When Aguilar and Wallace are ahead of you and playing in a back-and-forth game where you have to score to take the lead and whatnot, and to be honest, you were on the field 5 times. You were targeted twice. One time you slipped. The pass also might have been overthrown anyways. Deontay was open in the middle of the field. Lamar didn't throw it to him. So then he had to cut back and go the other way that Lamar was running, and he slipped. And Lamar got mad at him. I mean, he's probably dead weight, to be honest. The other two guys just have a chemistry. And you could see it on Lamar's face. He was just pissed off at him. And I think that he took it out on him. I don't know, but my guess would be he'd be like, don't put that dude back out there, which is crazy.
Yeah.
He probably still hates him because he used to kick their butt when he was on the Steelers.
I wouldn't surprise me. And to be honest with you, Deontay's hands, I mean, we've seen him miss a lot of balls back in the past, but then all of a sudden he was like glue hands. So I agree with you. I think that the chemistry needs to be found, and it's not there. I mean, Flowers and Bateman definitely have that chemistry more, obviously.
But I'm not dropping them for nothing.
I would try to trade him if you can, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
even if you get nothing, if you get a running back 3 out of it for now, if you need to fill in a hole or something like that, it may be worth it. All right, Frank, with another one here. Do you like Murray or Rodgers this week?
I'm going to go with Murray for the rushing.
Oh, I'm sorry. He also had Daniel Jones as a pickup for a start this week.
I mean, I don't mind Jones, but no. I know Rodgers looked better last week, and he might be safer. He's got the better, more sure-handed wide receivers, but I'm going to take the rushing upside at home with Murray.
All right. Next one here. Darren with a question. Waddle or Leggett? Oh, here's a Waddle question.
Yeah, Leggett for sure.
And then Goddard or Hawkinson?
I'm going Hawkinson. All the wide receivers are healthy for Philly.
All right. I cannot see this one. Hold on a second.
Says, do I make this trade? I have Hurts and need a second wide receiver. Also have CMC. What's your thoughts? He wants to receive Mason, Thomas, and Drake May and give up Downs and Daniels. No, I would not make that trade. I know that you have Hurts, but I feel like you could get something better Mason is relatively worthless. If you have Hurts, you have no need really for Drake May. And Brian Thomas, in my estimation, is not worth Jaden Daniels. Like, if I'm trading to Jaden Daniels to somebody, I want somebody that isn't even slightly injured playing with a backup quarterback on a better team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know he's a wide receiver too, but you're right. The injury definitely affects that. I'm looking for a higher grade wide receiver 1/wide receiver 2 if I'm going to do something like that too.
Yeah. Rework it. Look at their roster. Get somebody else. Mason's only good if CMC goes down again at this point, I think.
All right. Next one here. Look, no judgment with injuries and bye weeks, okay? And yes, I know it's bad. Ha ha ha. But which one would you run with as QB this week? Levis versus Chargers or Taysom Hill with Olave out? Gonna use Taysom Hill in the QB. Tony wants to know.
Yeah, I think I answered in this group, but I wanted to add it. I like Taysom Hill this week, but I think I would take a shot with who I said. I think I would take a shot with Mac Jones. I would drop Levis and pick up Mac Jones and use him this week. I'm not using Levis against the Chargers. It could be the wrong call, but I think Mac Jones is going to be as good, if not better, this week than Trevor Lawrence. So I would go with Mac Jones over these two, and then I'd try and get Taysom Hill. I don't know who your tight end is, but I'd try and get him in my lineup as well.
All right. Next one here. Joe with the question, should I stick with Caleb Williams or pick up one of the available quarterbacks? Rodgers, Flacco, Mac Jones, May, Carr, Rush, Young, Smith, or Levis?
Yeah, it sucks.
Sorry.
Yeah, it sucks, but I think I told you, and I think I still feel the same, that I'd probably stick with Caleb. I mean, Flacco is a possible option if they corrected some things and maybe try and get him moving in the pocket a little bit or shore up the offensive line. I can't recommend the Bears. They've been so terrible, but they're at home. They're going against New England. And right now you're maybe in a do or die position. This is definitely has to be a bye week conundrum that you're messing with here. I think I would just go with Caleb. But if you're going to drop Caleb to pick up one of these guys, I think later on down the line, there's a possibility that you'll wish you didn't.
I agree. If you don't have to drop Caleb, I honestly would. I know maybe this is a Jets fan of me. I would use Rodgers. I think the connection's there with Adams again. I feel like Garrett Wilson, like you mentioned, is getting better and better. Now you have a third option in which he wants. He didn't want Mike Williams there. You could see he didn't want Mike Williams there. He now gets to choose that third option of a player. I honestly think it's going to be a player like a Gibson that reminds me of what Cobb used to be for him.
No Corley dropping in at the goal line anymore?
I think Corley's going to play in, but I think he's going to be more of your worthy type of player. Shoot deep, or it's going to be an end around or a bubble screen or something to that effect. I don't think it would be the third slot receiver type of player, but I mean, I could be wrong. Obviously, I don't know what the offense is thinking, but if it was me, Gibson would be that guy because he has been shorthanded and he can catch the ball on the outside too. Going out of bounds, which I think is huge in Rodgers. He does that a lot with Lazard for those third downs, where I feel like Gibson could be that same kind of player.
Yeah, I don't hate that. It would just stink if Caleb gets hot again. You dropped him, but more than likely, Joe, you have a better QB1 that doesn't even matter. So.
All right, Randy with one here. Who would you bench this week? Devontae, Puka, Chuba, or Jonathan Taylor?
That's very tough. I don't know. I think it's one of the wide receivers. But can you bench Puka?
I was thinking Devontae, to be honest with you.
I'm fine with that. I want to keep Chuba in, even with Brooks possibly coming back. He's just been killing it. And Taylor against Buffalo, you can run on Buffalo, and they're going to need him to protect Flacco and protect the passing game. So it's one thing they weren't able to do last week because Minnesota is so good against the run. I'm fine with sitting Devontae. It's very tough. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
These are your worst four guys. I mean, it's like,
That's
what are you gonna do?
crazy.
They'll probably be okay either way. I mean, it could end up like Devontae scores, I don't know, let's just say 15, and Puka scores 10. And you're like, oh, we picked the wrong one. Well, I mean, it's not terrible.
I like
think
Puka
they're all
though
on same
for the
level.
Monday night aspect of it too. I'm always a Monday nighter, prime time. Puka
Sure.
had an off game. We always talk about ebbs and flows. He didn't look like himself. I think this is McVay being like, "Hey, we need to have you involved."
Got kicked out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's literally now it's time for you to shine, almost in a way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Scott with one here. Happy Hump Day. Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, or Justin Herbert this week. Also, keep which one the rest of the season?
Yeah, I answered this one as well, but I wanted to throw it in. I really like Daniel Jones the best this week. I think rest of the season, the answer is probably Wilson. Mostly because Herbert's receivers aren't great and they are a run first team, even though they've been throwing a lot more, which is nice to see. And Jones still has to have his bye. Russell Wilson already had his bye. So I'd play Daniel Jones this week out of the three, but I would like to have Wilson, I think, the rest of the season, even though I do think that this week Justin Fields is going to mix in on a few plays.
All right. That was the last question from the group. All right. So, guess I have a question for you.
There's 2 new comments down there, but you can ask your
right.
question.
I'm going to get to the comments first. Marty is giving us his team from the question from before about the Steelers and the Eagles defense. Fryermuth and Hunter are his tight ends. He has Tillman, Hopkins, McConkey, Kupp, and Jefferson. Running backs are Tracy, Warren, Jacobs, Etienne, and Ray Davis.
All right. Yeah. So you probably would have to drop one to pick up.
QB, Hurts, and Geno. Geno might be the drop, to be honest with you. Hurts had his bye week already. I would probably be starting Hurts every single week going forward. I wouldn't. Geno might be that guy. Sorry, that's the other one here.
Yeah, I'd probably do that if you want to grab Estimate just in case. They're on a bye this week, so nobody's going to be picking them up. And if they go to pick them up next week, if you drop them tonight, he should clear waivers by Sunday. And then actually probably by Monday at least because they're on bye. So you could always grab them on Monday again if anything happens with any of your bench guys or Estimate or anything else. So, yeah, I dropped Geno. That's my call as well.
All right. And the question that I had for you was McConkey or a Dowdle. Also have Taysom Hill.
I'd go Hill.
That's what I'm kind of thinking, man. I just can't stop. I like McConkey. I like him a lot. And it just bothers benching him, but
I like him as well. Remember preseason, we're watching preseason game, and I was like, McConkey is going to be my favorite wide receiver of the rookies. So I like him as well, but I think that you got to go Taysom.
All right. Taysom is the answer. All right, guys. Anything else there, guess?
Nope. Good luck this week. Tomorrow's a busy day for us both, but post the questions. If you're watching us from YouTube, remember to subscribe and best of luck this week. I said it before. I think 2-7 is kind of pushing the envelope. Hopefully you're at least 3-6 this week. Thank you. But let's get another win. Let's keep stacking them. All you got to do is get in. And if your team gets hot, you could be a champion.
I like it, man. All right, guys. Always look for those hashtags, Answers by Guess, and ABGFF. And like Guess said, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X, Patreon, and Spotify. Follow us somewhere. Inside Scoop from outside the box. Guess, best of luck, bud.
You too. See you.
Best of luck, guys. Peace.